Hi, I'm Debbie, and I'm an addict. And I appreciate being able to introduce Liz. Liz has been an important part of my life for a long time, a real special person. She's a vision of hope. You know, the story that she has to tell, the life experiences that she's experienced. Anytime I'm around her, I know that I can get through anything because I've watched her go there. And I know that her God's really huge, and I admire that, to bring her through and keep her in recovery and dealing with life on life's terms. She's pretty special to me. I don't get to always spend a lot of time with her, but still the same. She has a real special place in my heart and always will have. So with that, I give you Liz.
Rodney, did you put in that old tape so it wouldn't tape? They told me that Rodney was going to be here and be taping, and I was like, oh, Lord, I don't like to be taped. My name's Liz, and I'm an addict. Friday, I was sitting at home, and it was one Friday morning, and I know when I start my day playing on the computer that it's going to be a whole day of sitting playing on the computer. And I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling a little weak, you know, in my spirit, and I'm talking to the God of my understanding, and it's like, God, you know, you're going to have to give me something. And I'd say within 30 minutes the phone rings, and it's Steve on the phone. He asked me if I want to come down and speak at the Critna fundraiser. Well, of course, you know, I felt that, you know, that was God working in my life, and I said yes. Then I got off the phone, I'm pissed, and I'm saying, God, not that. That's not what I wanted, you know. I would have preferred this, and that seems to be the whole theme all this year for me, you know. It's like I've been having a real struggle with the God of my understanding. Although I've never really understood God, you know, and how it works, but I know that it works in my life, and that I was never open even to a God of my understanding until I got clean, because to me there was just no God, and I'd always felt real unworthy, and that God couldn't love me, you know, because I always felt like, you know, nobody else loved me, and I didn't love me, so, you know, God definitely didn't love me. And of course, you know, through active addiction, all the terrible things, you know, we do, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, the regret. And when I came into the program, it's like today I look back and I think I'm real grateful for the third step. Because sometimes that's been the true source in my recovery. Or maybe I'm just, you know, this hopeless hope fiend, you know, but I'd rather have hope in my life today instead of the way it once was. When I came into Narcotics Anonymous, you know, like all of us, I had this real big perception problem. You know, everything was negative. You know, I felt like I had two brain cells, one positive, one negative, and the negative was kicking the hell out of the positive brain cell all the time. And I just could not find things that were positive in my life. You know, I had a child. She was 4 years old when I got clean. And although I loved her and I wanted all these things for her, I couldn't give it to her, you know, because I was too consumed with using. You know, that was my main thing that I wanted to do. And that I only knew how to do. You know, I grew up in a family of addicts, practicing addicts. And I didn't really know that there was another way. And when I came into the rooms, people would like spoon feed me little things, you know. And today, you know, I'm sharing this because it's the same stuff I use today. You know, the little one phrases, you know. When I came in, I could understand, Liz, just for today, just for this day, you don't have to use. Or just for the next 5 minutes, you don't have to use. just for this moment, you don't have to use. And the things of one is too many, 1,000 never enough. Well, I mean, you know, I'm a little hard-headed. I didn't just come into the rooms and get, you know, surrendered and clean and all that. It took me a little minute. And one day it finally hit that, damn, one is too many and 1,000 never enough for me. You know, I cannot control my using. I'm not a social user. And, of course, I got clean. I kept living the lifestyle, you know, because I thought, well, I'm not using drugs. And we'd go out after meetings, you know, and I'd be sitting over eating steak, and they'd be eating soup, and they'd be like, girl, how you eating steak? Living on food stamps in Section 8. And it's like, well, I just went out and turned a trick last night, and I got some money. And it's like, girl, I don't know if you can be doing that stuff clean. But at the time, I did not understand that. You know, that shit was over my head. Spiritual principles, living different, you know. I thought, okay, I'll try this clean thing, but I don't know about changing my whole life, surrendering, letting go to all that. And the good thing about it was that, you know, I felt comfortable around this small group of people, and I'd be telling them shit. You know, they'd come to my house and pick me up for a meeting, and I'd have the John out front fixing him up with a trick on the phone because, you know, they told me I couldn't turn tricks no more. So I'd make my little money by, you know, having him meet her and her meet them. And people that were giving me rides to the meeting were sitting there at the table shaking their heads, you know. But they never judged me. They never told me I was bad. They would say things like, Liz, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And it took a little while for that to sink in, you know. Damn, I got to change that shit too, you know. And it was suggested to me one day by my sponsor, which my first year clean, I was at my sponsor's house every single day. I didn't know what else to do. I did not know what to do with myself. And I look back, and that was the most patient, loving, caring person that God could have hooked me up with. I mean, that man would sit there and shake, and my first sponsor was a man. I was going to try to get past that, you know, because our fellowship has grown, and there are a lot more women here. And when I was getting clean, there was not a lot of women in the fellowship and in the area where I lived. And my first sponsor was a man, and that worked out real well for me. You know, right from the beginning, I said, hey, you know, we had talked about sleeping together, and it's like, man, I can't sleep with you. I need some help. You know, I'm about ready to die. And we got that all out in the open, you know. And today, you know, I have so much respect for that man. You know, I love him just with all my heart. He is truly a brother to me today. And he taught me a lot about, you know, even as a woman, about being a woman and having some integrity and self-respect and applying spiritual principles in my life. And I'm real grateful for that. But like I say, I was there every day. I did not know what to do. And the program was kept real simple for me, you know. There wasn't a lot of talk about feelings. And for me in the beginning, I didn't really feel a whole lot except rage, you know. Identifying, you know, happy, joyous, free. I didn't know about all that shit. And so through working, you know, got me on some steps, and I worked the first step, and I went out and I relapsed. You know, I just could not accept that I was powerless over my addiction. I just could not accept that. And so, you know, I learned to act as if, you know, to keep admitting that day after day. And through that surrender of changing the lifestyle and not using, things got to, it started working out, you know, and it was no control or no power that I alone was doing. It was suggested, Liz, okay, girl, when you think about turning a trick, I want you to wait. And I want you to pray, God, you know, I need something from you, you know. And I, you know, I believe that God is a source for everything I need in my life today. you know, my physical, my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, my financial. You know, God provides all those things for me today. Maybe not in the form I want it or the way I want it, but it always comes, you know. I hold on a lot to don't give up before the miracle happens. And I've really had to hold on to that a lot this year going through a process. But I needed a change in perception in the way I was doing things. And I waited and I prayed. And it was about 3 days later. Back then, you made a little light deposit. After so many months, you got it back. Well, that shit, I was broke, and it come in the mail. And it was like, oh, maybe I don't have to do that. 2 or 3 days later, a lady knocks on my door, and she's like, I see you out here playing with your little girl, and I'm needing a babysitter. You think you can watch my 2 kids for me? I started watching them kids, started getting paid, had some money, you know. And with that, I mean, you know, it's just like the disease of, you know, just like using the drugs. You know, I use that in a form, power, control, manipulation. And finally, at 6 years clean, that desire, that thought left my head. Although I never thought it was going to go away. It finally left, and it was like, girl, you no longer ever have to do that again. But see, I needed some faith. I needed some evidence that, yeah, God would even take care of me in that area. And in recovery, it's been good, you know. It's like working through the steps and learning more and more about myself and how the disease of addiction will come up on my ass, especially in my most weakest of weakest times, you know. And I have been a little weak this year, you know. I've been really the last couple of years, you know. I had all that, you know, we always dream of and hope for, you know. I had a nice house, nice ride, recovery, you know, going on, a husband, a man that loved me, and I loved him with all my heart and soul, just like I would one of my children. And I had all that for about 8 years. And, 5. And then my son passed in November of 99, you know, just out of the blue, no sickness. And, you know, I believe in working these steps to the best of your ability and applying them in every area of your life. You know, I would have never, ever been prepared for the death of that baby if it wasn't for steps and Narcotics Anonymous and the people in NA. Wouldn't have made it through on my own. No way. When he passed in 99, that was a process all its own, you know. Woke up, went in there to wake him up, and he was laying there just dead, and I knew he was dead, you know, because something else had prepared me, you know. It's like I did want some financial gain when I got clean. I went to school and I became a nurse because I wanted to take care of my children. I didn't want to be on Section 8 no more. I didn't want the food stamps no more. You know, I wanted to change that area of my life. And what I found out, you know, through working the steps and coming around and sharing that with people, it's like, man, I am responsible for that. Nobody can do that shit for me. You know, I'm the one that's got to get up and do the step work and apply that in my life. I can sit around and talk about it all day long. It helps, but it still don't get nothing done. And I believe, you know, even that area of my life and that decision, because I don't know, I might have lost my mind when I walked in there and seen that baby laying there in that bed dead. But see, I'd already got to experience that, the death part of, you know, through nursing. And when he passed, you know, it was really hard, you know. But I remember making the decision, Liz, you do not have to use over this. You do not have to dishonor your child by using. And that was a decision I made, and by the grace of God, you know, the just for today's, the talking about it, the writing about it, the praying about it, getting angry at God and cussing God like a dog. And some people were real worried about that. But I needed to do that. And because I know the God of my understanding knows my heart, knows my thoughts, and has got me, has always had me. and I needed to go through that process, and I got real angry with God. And I leaned on, powers greater than myself, going to meetings, talking with my sponsor, talking with friends, hanging out afterwards, even when I didn't feel like it. And a lot of times, it's like, because I know me, and it's like, man, I get into that negative thinking, and I isolate myself off from people. Before I know it, I am engulfed in self-pity and the poor me's and why me. And I alone can't get out of it, And that scares me, because I don't know about y'all. I really do know, but, I lived my story, and it was absolutely horrible. Active addiction was the most horrible thing I had ever lived in my life compared to today. And I can stand up here and look back and know how horrible that lifestyle was, and couldn't get out of the grips, just needing more and more and more. And I didn't give a shit about nobody. And how recovery, has changed my life, But with the loss of that baby, it was still doing the things that we're taught to do. My husband, he started using, and that was a real sad thing, and it scared me, because I've been around long enough to know that when one person starts using, the other one's not far behind, Couples relapse together, and they go together. And it had me real worried, but first, of course, I had to exert my power, my will, my character defects, my spiritual principles also, And sometimes I took these spiritual principles to a whole new level, because I'm addicted to the good too, And when he was using, it was like I tried and tried to help him, and love him, be tolerant, be patient, and look at the potential, look at the good, and knowing the whole time, I was slowly losing him. And there come a time, I looked at him and I said, honey, I love you, but I've been thinking about using. I've been thinking about using with you so we can stay together. Raise the kids the best we can. We both started laughing. It's like, yeah, right. Like we could really do that. And at that point, we knew that it was time for him to move out of the house. And when he moved, I helped him move. And I was real grateful for that, because a lot of people are like, girl, you helping him move? I ain't never seen nothing like that. Y'all breaking up and you helping him move in his apartment? And, it's like, yeah, because, man, I still got some hope. I know this program works. It's worked for me. And my hope is that he'll get himself together. I can take care of the kids. I can do my program. Maybe he just needs a little minute. And so my hope was that he would get his place and he would surrender and come back into the rooms. And when that didn't happen, I was absolutely devastated. I had went to his apartment, and I knew he had been using, and I knew he had been using hard, from the credit card bills, the bank statements, money gone. But he was really caught in the grip of his disease. And he woke up one morning, and the only solution for him was to put a gun to his head. And when I went over that day, I had this feeling, when I walked in the room, of course, I could smell things. And my little girl was there, and she was running to that bedroom door, and it was like, girl, get the cat, Get your little cat and play with it for a while. And because I think your daddy's sick, And when I opened the door, it's through the grace of this program that God gave me the ability just for a minute to shut completely down and go in there and look at that baby girl and say, honey, you need to go sit in a car, and I'll keep the windows open and I'll look at you through the windows. And that was real hard to do, And then it was like the breakdown came, the 911 call and all that. And it's been hard the last year. It's been real hard, It's like life has just continued on. It doesn't stop just because something happens in our life, or just because, you feel heartbroken or you feel pain or you're sad or you're lonely. It just don't stop. And of course I have this disease, when I'm weak, it wants to nag at me. It wants to try to pick me apart. And all year, there's been times like that. It's like, you should have, you could have, if only, And just here recently, the steps are starting to take hold of that because, the shock and the disbelief and the denial is starting to wear off. And now it's the feeling and the healing and dealing, And lately, I've been getting that, like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, if only, and it's like, hey, I'm fucking powerless over all that. There's not anything I can do about it. Because if I could, there would be people back and there would be people gone, and, I'd pick and choose the best I could, but I'm powerless over that, and life can become real unmanageable when I let my disease start feeding me. And I'm grateful for a choice today. It's not only, for me, not a choice of whether I'm going to use or not use. I mean, that's always an option for us. I'm grown. I can do whatever the hell I want to do. I could go out and use tonight if I chose to do that. But there's other choices, too, in the process. And it's like today, it's like when we use, for me, that was about hurting me. And the effects it had on other people. And through, working on the steps and processing that and looking, at all the harm I had caused other people with my addiction. And it's like, man, I don't want to go through that shit today. I've worked too hard to get where I'm at today. And it's not a solution for me today. And I know deep in my heart it's not going to help a damn thing. It ain't going to change nothing. And when I do think about it, it's sort of like, well, my girls are definitely going to have to go because they know just as many people in this fellowship as I do, and they'd be on the phone. My mama's using, help us. All right, do you know what she's been doing now? Well, I don't want to deal with all that shit, They're going to have to go, And then I thought about, okay, well, yeah, that's an option, because there was days like that. Like I felt like, man, I don't know how I'm going to take care of these girls. I'm in so much fucking pain. It's like, how am I going to deal with their pain? And it came back to just for today, just for the next 5 minutes. And it's like that has added up for me, And then, having to give up my freedom. And it's like, I'm not willing to do that today. When I came in Narcotics Anonymous, it wasn't about having more kids. It wasn't about having a home. It wasn't about having a husband. For me, it was about, man, I had become so desperate. I needed a different way to live. I needed help. And I have been going through a thing with God, but I was angry just the other day. It's like, God, I have worked hard, I've taken suggestions, and believe me, I've not been perfect at this, and I've strived to practice these spiritual principles in my life, and this is what you want to give me? After doing all that, this is what you want to give me? And it's like, oh, wait a minute, girl. Let's step back. Let's think when you asked was a little girl and you was frightened and you was scared and nobody was there to take care of you. Who you think took care of you? How about an active addiction so many times you was driving down the road out of your friggin' mind and you didn't catch no case? How about the time when God led you to a program that was going to help your sorry ass? How about the time, even after you got in a program and you had to deal with your issues, there was somebody greater than you taking care of you? And it's like today, I just have a real strong belief that there is something more powerful than me. I see it around me all the time. God works through all of us, each and every one of us. What I've learned is everyone has something to offer. Good, bad, indifferent, right, wrong. We're all spiritual beings. Serial killers, they spiritual beings. They got heart. I just believe that today. And that's through Narcotics Anonymous, having an open mind, a willingness to learn, and to be open. But like I say, it's been a hard process, and and when it gets hard, it's like the phone will ring. Somebody will come by. Something will happen, in my life to give me that little nudge to keep moving forward. And it's like I cannot deny that they're still good, I was talking with somebody and at my husband's funeral, they're like, why in the world are you not using right now? And it's like, look what just fucking happened. I don't want to go out today. I don't want to die like that. I want to enjoy my life. I want to live. And Narcotics Anonymous has given me that. The ability to think, to look, to feel, and to see the good in life. I can set my ass up in my house, isolate, and look at all the negative I want to, but it's not going to get me nothing. It's work. It's a lot of work. But it is so worth it, And I keep showing up. I keep doing the best I can on any given day, and I fall short, I still want to look outside of myself to, have things help me feel better. This past year I've looked at a bigger, nicer house. You get thinking about that shit, and it's like, man, I don't want to make a big-ass house payment. That house ain't worth all that. And just different things, I was at a function one night, and I lost my mind a little bit, and I started, they were auctioning off a jacket, and I started bidding on it, and then I got it, and it's like 2 sizes too big for me, and it's like, what the hell, I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel better, and quite a few little things like that. And what I'm finding out is just like from the beginning, it shit don't work, The only thing that's helped me is the God of my understanding. That is the only source that has filled that void within inside me, Oh, no. It's all about a choice for me today, I can choose to take the suggestions, do what I need to be doing, or I can choose to get in the negative and just be there. And it's like, man, I know what active addiction's like, and I know what negativity's about. I'd rather live. And well, I'm going a little blank. What time is it? I've been feeling funny about, like my disease nagging at me. It's like I've been feeling a little funny about being in big crowds. It's like it's sort of overwhelming to me, because a lot lately I've been feeling real vulnerable, and still with this process because it is painful, and the one thing I haven't lost throughout it is the hope. My faith may waver a little bit, I may be mad at God, and one day I might be okay with God, that wavers, but the hope, it's not gone, It would be insane for me to go out and use or become destructive and harmful through people and with other people when it ain't going to change nothing at all. And I'm real grateful for Narcotics Anonymous because I remember how life was. And by going to meetings, one night I had this nagging thing, of what more could I have done for Mark? What could I have said? What could I have done? And there was a guy that walked in, didn't know me, didn't know that, my situation. And he's sitting across from me, and he's sharing about, my mama's tried to get me here, the courts have tried to get me here, my sisters tried to get me here, but nothing was going to get me here till I was ready to come here. And that warmed my heart. Now, if I hadn't shown up at a meeting that night, I wouldn't have got that. And it's that kind of stuff that just keeps happening over and over and over. And I love y'all. Y'all have saved me more than one time throughout even the recovery process, And I don't know what I know what I'd be without NA today. But I just ain't willing to go back there. Bad things happen, hard things happen, but it doesn't have to overshadow all the good neither, and there still is good in my life. I got great friends, great sponsor, people that stand right there with me. I got these beautiful little girls that each and every day they teach me something new about me. Because they're mirrors of me. My blood runs through them, and it is so fun to watch them. And, I broke down and I was crying one night, and my little Marissa come up and she's like, "Don't cry, my butterfly. It's all right. Daddy's in heaven," And it's like, how, I would have missed all that shit. I'd miss stuff like that if I was using. I wasn't open to no shit like that. It'd been more like, "Kid, get on in there. Get away from me. I'm busy. I'm doing something here." And because I know I experienced it. My other daughter she was 4 when I got clean. And there was many a times when I was up in that bathroom and that child was out in the living room playing Barbie dolls all day long while Mama was in that bathroom trying to get her fix. And when Mama was by herself and there wasn't no kids for her to play with in that living room, her mama was in so much denial, I'd let her come in the bathroom, let her sit on her little potty chair, give her a few little toys. I'd turn my back, shoot my dope. Well, I thought that worked pretty well. How she's only 2, she don't know. Shit. About a year later, the child was running around all over the place tying belts around her arm, over at Grandma's house. And people start asking, "What's going on over there?" But that's where active addiction takes me, total denial. I don't give a shit about nobody, nothing. All I want to do is use. And today, it's like there is a life worth living. And I love my girls, and I love my son, and I love Mark, and I hate that they had to go, and I hate that they had to go the way they did. Damn, I'm a little selfish, I'm addicted to the good today, and I'm going to keep striving to look at the good today. And I'm going to try to still keep an open mind and let God give me what I need, And that seems to work out real good. It's been working. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little emotional and a little flighty and backwards and forwards, so I'm going to end with this that I come across, and I hope it helps you, because there was times when I did think about using. I went back in my writings. I was cleaning out a closet, and I come across, some things I had wrote earlier on. And I always wondered why I never got rid of my notebooks. I'd hear other people talking about how they got rid of theirs, And I'd open it up, and it would have things in there like, "I went to the grocery store today," and I'd have in parentheses, "responsible." I'm sitting here with my daughter, and I feel like a total stranger. I don't even really know who she is. And it's things like that, that jar you to do better, to stay with this. But I would like to close with some readings. Well, writing. I might get a little emotional, but that's okay. because I'm right where I need to be. He was right where he needed to be, so hey. But Mark, he had passed away in January of 2004, and I don't know why I got up this morning. It was like, Liz, take that writing. You know, that might help somebody. You know, he had wrote this in June 22nd, about a month before he had went into treatment. And it says, and I'm going to share this. This feels a little funny because I'm real private, and I usually don't share people's shit and share their writing, but hell, he's gone. So, you know, Mark, love you, but I'm going to share some of your shit. He's got, some time ago, I relapsed on painkillers. Here is my story on what happened. It started out innocently enough. I had a biopsy and took 2 shots of morphine and a prescription for Lortabs. I didn't need them looking back, but I took them anyway. For the first shot, I had the same response to the drugs I always had. It felt good and I wanted more. This incident should have been a red flag indicator, but I ignored all the warning signs. This incident came at a time when I was spiritually weak. See, my son had died maybe a year earlier, and I had been at times in unbearable pain and had been desiring relief from the pain. I was angry at God and fearful that he had abandoned me. I also, through this period in my life, had stopped doing some of the things that were suggested that had kept me clean and growing in the past. Praying was sporadic. At best, I had stopped sharing honestly at meetings and with others about the pain of losing my son and of my anger, fear with God. In this strange way, I isolated myself from my friends and fellowship. I know today these things were the beginnings of my relapse. I had lost belief in staying away from painkillers at all costs, except for the most extreme circumstances of injury and surgery. This was the first time drugs were in me in 11 years or so. Marcus died when I was 10 years clean. My clean date, and he died November the 15th. After years or so, what if I thought was endless suffering, that shot was the relief I thought I needed. After that, I didn't say anything to anyone about how that made me feel. I got rid of what pills were left the next day and went on the best I could. There were more occasions over the next 2 years when I found it necessary to use painkillers. A few days here and there, taking more that was prescribed, trying to use some of the precautions, but not all of them. Thank God for Liz, my wife, who helped and did save my life on one or more occasions by trying to dole them out and even flushing them and calling my sponsor. See, I had slipped into the illusion that I could control my using once again. By taking the pills and the way my thinking and appetite grew, I would throw them away. I thought I could control my using. That was it. And shortly thereafter, he's so caught up in the grip of his disease that the only solution he could find was to blow his brains out. And, you know, prescription medicine, our bodies don't know the difference. But we do have a pamphlet called In Times of Illness, and there's some suggestions there too. Bottom line, you know, you want this thing, it is totally your responsibility. If ain't nobody calling your ass, pick up the phone and call them. If ain't nobody visiting you, go visit them. If you're afraid asking somebody to be your sponsor, you're going to help them just as much as they're going to help you. You know, this is a two-way street thing. And believe me, we come in here with no self-esteem. Everybody's got low self-esteem in here. There ain't nobody better. There ain't nobody worse. We all the same and just trying to get better. And I love y'all, and thanks for letting me share in and stand up here and walk through another fear.